Yo, it's that time of the week again. Like, every Thursday is the Choice League race. Now, this week, tonight, is going to be the first round of this league. The last 2 weeks, there's been this race you're watching right here, which has been the warm-up event. So there's been 2 warm-up events, and this was the last warm-up event before tonight's big race. Now this happened last Thursday. It was on the Innsbruck course on the 2 climbs, so the 2 giant climbs, and because last week went well, better than expected, I think, for myself, just because of the way the race panned out and how I actually managed to kind of pull myself back into the race a few times. In fact, there was maybe 2 or 3 kind of really important parts of the race that really spoke volumes. And reading back over the comments that you guys left on last week's live stream of this race, just kind of made me think that, you know, I should really do a lot more talking about the in-depth and like giving like the behind-the-scenes breakdown of this race, because, you know, although there's, you know, you can see me pedaling away there like really fast, both virtually and in reality, you know, and I'm mic'd up, I can't actually talk at 170 beats a minute as much as I'd love to, and give you like a breakdown as we go along. Hence why I try to do something at the end of every live stream. I try to talk about, you know, what's happened and what's gone on. So let's jump into this one, because it's a 15-minute video, and, you know, I just want to get as much information out there as possible about this race, and about how it went. So as you can see, like if you're new to all this, like you can see my power in the top left, my heart rate. You know, my maximum heart rate is around about 190, 193. It all depends how fit I am. Obviously, the more fit I am, the lower it is. And I think for me, I hit 190 today, so it's fairly standard. And you can see the gradient and everything in the top right, and you can see my position as well, just below that 18th at the minute, 17th. You can see that changing as we go along. So if you're not already, I do a lot of stuff over on Instagram where I break down these races as well, so I'd be really humbled for you to check that out. There's my tag there on the left side of the screen, at Laverack. Go and say hi over there to me. I will get back to you with any questions you have. Like this race, like there's hiding places, but there's also no hiding places. It's twice up a giant climb that takes around, you know, 15 to 20 minutes to get up. In fact, the first time up, I think, and I'm going to pull up the stats here as well, the first time up we did it in something like 16 and a half minutes, and the second time up was like 15:40 or 15:50. It was like such a fast climb. But you know, it obviously helps when you're in a sizable group. Like, it did take a while for this group to whittle down. We had you obviously know that I'm riding for the Wahoo Powered by Cycling Hub team. You know, great bunch of YouTubers, great bunch of guys. We've got you know, some kind of diverse characters in terms of like their strengths and their weaknesses. Like, we've all got weaknesses. Like for me, my sprint. So, you know, people, when they race with you on ZWIFT, like they get to know that, like week in, week out, they know what your vulnerabilities are. So, you know, I'm in no mood to hide them, because you know, people will see it anyway through my YouTube channel and whatnot. So it's part of being transparent. Speaking of which, like this race, like the game plan itself was just like to follow moves. Don't follow the first attack, but follow the second attack. Lamps. Steel Lamp managed to get in that little group just up the road there, and I just had to kind of claw back to it, and in doing so splintered the group behind. And you can see by my graph at the bottom, you know, I did have to go really hard. Now, you know, Steve is a rider that, you know, has been on the scene for years, you know, and even just not only experience, but just has the fitness, and still has it. You know, there's no doubt in that. Like, I'm completely empathetic, like, and the people that managed to compete. A lot of riders on Zwift competed at a very high standard in their early 40s, and it kind of kudos to them really for being able to perform, you know, in hour-long races against, you know, 20 to 25-year-olds. It really kind of shows like there is very little difference. So, you know, this first time up the climb was very much like following things, keeping it together, and for me, I didn't actually go into the red as such. Like, my heart rate was still fairly controlled. I got up to 180 at some point. Maybe I've already seen it, but I got up to that and I wasn't really troubled by it. Just the first effort will always be fairly easy. 20 minutes in now, and you know, my power has been kind of back and forth between the red and the yellow. So the red will be, you know, zone 5, border zone 4, zone 5, and then the yellow will be kind of lower zone 4. So you know, really looking at riding at threshold and then going over threshold. I've spoken numerous times about these kind of efforts, but made it over the climb in the front group. Alex West sent me a message. They actually, great guy, for those of you that know him or follow him, and yeah, I really appreciate his words to me regarding this race. You know, it's great to be racing against people that I've never raced on the road, but also some of them I have raced on against on the road as well. But we went through the town, we did the short lap, and we immediately started the second climb, which you can see here. It just set off at a furious pace. You know, I've sped up the action now just to kind of give it that kind of sense of, you know, flow, because sometimes when it's at normal speed, we're just going so slow up here. But really, like, what I wanted to show you on this time of the climb, and there's a reason why there's a few key points in this race where I actually lose contact and manage to come back. A lot of riders I see, and I see their live streams, they do an awful lot of kind of, you know, kicking really hard, and then they're doing like 450 watts, and then they're down to 200 for like 20 seconds, then they're kicking really hard again to try and keep that pace. They're not trying to hold one solid pace. Like, the more you know about your numbers and the more you know what you're capable of, the more you become in tune with your body and what you're comfortable with maintaining. For me, I know, you know, this time of year, although on Zwift it says my FTP is 355, I still haven't done an actual test outdoors to verify that. But at the minute, it's around about the 370 mark or the 365 mark for 20 minutes. So we're looking at an FTP of around kind of 350, 345, something like that. So for me, I knew that I could do 400 watts for 5 minutes, and it's just about kind of gauging everything on that. So I'm not going to talk too much now, because I really want you to watch that bottom graph, and I want you to watch to see how this part of the race breaks down. So we've got two guys in front of me, both teammates. They do a lot of pulling here. One of them takes off. I can't really do anything. I can't respond to it. You can see my heart rate at 184. You can actually see my face starting to grimace now, and the pain is starting to get to me. But the key thing is not to panic. The key thing is not to panic. His teammate comes around me. He ends up pulling for a little bit, although it doesn't really feel like it, because at this time that I'm talking, I'm on a dumb trainer, so there's no resistance change, so I'm having to ride at the same cadence the whole time. The gap grows to around 10 seconds, I think it is, at some point, and it really does become like a bit of a, there was something in my mind that just said, okay, this is going to be damage limitation now, because it starts to level off and then it starts to go up, and I didn't really know how I would respond. So you can see that my power drops down to the green. I'm able to conserve just a little bit. In the meantime, I got Tim, the DS, in my ear saying, we're going to have to go now, we're going to have to go because it gets steep, this is where you make it count. I started to dig in, go up to 400 watts, nearly 7 watts per kilo, and I'm like, right, let's break this down now. So we've got the steeper sections, the 6 to the 12% sections. What can I do in those? And then where can I recover? I've still got an aero. All this time you've got to be thinking, like, how can I get myself out of this hole? And this is where I do it. So there's a really steep section and I just go. And in doing so, I hit my max heart rate. and in doing so I dropped the guy I'm with. Still a very strong rider, Merritt, very strong rider. He manages to call himself back, just as I say it, there he goes flying past. But I've given myself a few seconds of recovery now. As you can see, I've dropped down to green and yellow power. And, you know, not panicking. My heart rate's still high, but I'm just trying to bring that down as quick as possible. Although it's not just about bringing the heart rate down, it's about resting the legs. Like, you've got to be conscious of the fact if you rest your legs too much, you will drop off the back. Here, it gets strung out. I'm in the wrong position because I'm at the back. And because it's a virtual game, it's very hard to judge that, I know. But then the gradient starts to go up again. I've got to respond to something else. But it's hard. Like, it's hard. I'm not going to... All the while as well, Alex West is up the road on a solo mission. And it's just putting out some ridiculous numbers. There goes the group again. I'm with Merritt once more. And the gap is going. The gap is going. Can't close it down. I am all over the bike. It's so funny to see. I'm all over the bike in the on the camera there. Merritt comes around me and he gives, like, I'm not quite sure what he does here, because he is giving me a big draft, which allows me to go down into the 300s. And yet, like, he's got a teammate up the road. So this was a little bit like, well, it was a godsend really, because if he hadn't pulled there, I don't think I would have got back on. So we get back on just as we crest the top of the KOM. And, you know, if we didn't get back on there, like people were saying in the comments, we'd been toast. You know, we wouldn't have got back on. Saying that, the guys have gone really hard up that climb. We caught Alex West on the descent. You know, there's no way he's going to descend as fast as a group. And it all came back together, the group of 5 for this last, sorry, there's 6 of us, not 5. So 6 of us coming into the last climb, which is the leg snapper, I think. And it's labelled the leg snapper, it's only 50 seconds of effort. And interestingly, like, this is weird, like, we're going to watch this now, and bizarrely enough, like, I get out the saddle to start, and I feel so good in the first 20-30 seconds. So, right, I'm going now. I probably should have gone a little bit earlier, because as you can see, Alex West has got the jump on us, plus he's got a feather, but just seem to be doing really well here, and just redlining it. And then we get to here, and I'm like, toast. Absolute toast. And once we get to the descent, you know, they're pulling away. So that was like, for me, it was like one of those, it was another deciding factor in the race. I was like, you know, I've been dropped again, now what? And it was a case of like regrouping. I rested for like maybe 10 seconds on that descent, as you can see by the graph. And then I'm back up and I'm winding it back up. We're back into the red. We're back into the red. Back into yellow. Back into red. Just really turning it now to try and get back on terms. Even though I didn't think, I was just thinking, right, I'm going to hold off Merritt. Even though he's gone, I hold off Merritt. But turns out I come back to them. And reading the comments after, people are like, you've got to go around them, just hit them now. And I would have. Like, I really should have as well, because it was 1k to go, but I didn't know it was 1k to go. Novice mistake. I don't know the course well enough. I thought it was like 1.5 km or something. I just thought that would be a long, long way to go, but I should have gone. In hindsight, I should have gone. Next time I will as well. I won't hesitate. And it'll make it like a far more fun, entertaining race. But instead, I went early anyway. It was 600 meters to go, I think. And from a different camera angle, I actually got a jump on them on a gap. But then, you know, they just come through with their little arrows and all the rest of it. So it was a really fun race. And I want to do these breakdowns more because they actually mean something. And we can all kind of learn something from it. Even I learned something from it. So I want to keep doing these. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Drop a comment down below because I appreciate your comments and watching every time. See ya.